Hey guys, welcome to Bascom Hardwoods. Today, we're making hexagon shelves. We're going to make them in 3 different sizes out of poplar that you can get from your local big box store, and I'm going to take you through the entire process. Let's get started. So, the first thing you want to do is set your saw at a 30-degree angle. Next, we're going to drop our blade down. So we're only using 1/2 inch thick material, so we want to make sure that we don't have too much saw blade hanging out. There's no point. So let me show you what we got. So this is just 1/2 inch thick poplar from big box store local. It is 1/2 inch thick, 4 inches wide, and it's a 4-foot length. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to set my saw blade to just have one tooth popping out on top. Okay. That way I know it gets all the way through, but it's not too much. I mean, no need to be excessive. You don't need the blade sticking all the way up. All right. Next, we're gonna set our miter gauge up. A miter gauge that I got from Rockwell Woodworking. Now, they're not a sponsor of mine yet, but they have some great tools and jigs that you can get. So, I set my fence to 0. I check to make sure that I already have this slot cut to meet the saw blade. It's working good where it is. And now we're going to take our wood and we're going to set up our stop. So our stop needs to be, for the smalls, 3.5 from the blade. The medium is 4.5 from the blade, and the large is 5.5. So let's get that set up. So your first cut's going to look like this. Okay, you can see both edges are pushed in, and we're going to do 6 sides per. It's a hexagon, and when we tape it all up, it'll fit together. So every time you go to make a cut, make sure you flip the board on your stop block like that, so you get the right cut. Okay, let's just run through them. Okay, so we have all 6 sides for the small. Now we need to move our stop block over 1 inch so we can do our mediums. That should be it. And now we're just going to do the same process, just at that new length. Okay, so we have our smalls and our mediums. Now we need to do our larges. Again, this is a 5.5 cut. So we are going to move this over now 1 more inch and 6 more sides for this one. Okay, so everything's been cut. We're ready for some sanding, glue up, stain, and all that. When I'm done using the table saw, I always put the blade down. I have a 2- and 4-year-old, so just, you know, peace of mind. All right, let's get to glue up. Cool, so now that all of our parts are cut, we just need to get them sanded, glued up, and then we'll stain them last. So let's get that process going. So the main thing to do with these is, since these already came from the big box store sanded, pretty much sanded pretty well, I just like to sand off all these little furry ends from the saw. Sometimes if you have a brand new saw, you don't have to worry about a lot of that, brand new saw blade, but mine's a little old, so I just like to rub this basic sanding block across it really quick. That just gets everything deburred, if you will. Poplar is also kind of like a fuzzy wood. So every time you sand it, if you're using a heavy grit, you know, like a low grit count, meaning it's really abrasive, then it can kind of get a little hairy on you, literally. So try to use a little bit of a higher grit, and you shouldn't have too many issues. So I'm gonna put this in a time lapse for you guys so you don't have to sit here and watch me sand. We all know this is the best part about being a woodworker, sanding. Okay, cool. So the next part's pretty easy. We have everything sanded. Now we just need to get them glued up. So what's cool about this is since we cut everything at a 30-degree angle, they basically just fold and roll up to themselves. So the best and easiest way to do this is just using tape. So what I like to do is just roll all my pieces out. We're doing them with the inside facing down. So you can see the angles, they are pointed down. And then we're just gonna line these up as tight and well as we can so that they're straight. Okay. And we're just gonna tape it all together. It's pretty easy. So I like to use frog tape. Blue painter's tape works well too, but this stuff just has, I don't know what it is, it has a superior hold, man. It just stays there. I don't know what to tell you. So just one single piece, and then I like to press it in the middle and lightly push it down until everything is secure. And then I just secure one spot and then rub it in like this. If you start just kind of pushing around and stuff, you can kind of shift your shelves a lot. So if you just do it that way, it's pretty easy. And then you just grab it by one of the joints and you flip it towards you, and it's good to go. So all we do now is just put glue in between each of these, and then when you roll it up, it makes a hexagon shelf. Pretty easy? Cool. So let's do the rest of them. Let's get everything taped up while we're here. Okay, flip both of these. Cool. And now we're ready for glue. So before you start gluing everything up, you're gonna wanna make sure you have a wet rag, and that's to wipe off any excess glue that you might have squeeze out, and then something to spread it with. So again, I have another tool from Rockler, this glue spreader. Honestly, it's just a convenience thing. You don't have to have it. Your fingers work just fine, but they're great to have. How's it going? No, come on, you're all right. What's up? Yeah, that'd be great. Meat sandwich, please. Thanks. Happy wife. All right, so with this, I just glue it in. It's pretty easy. So I use Type On 1 for these because Type On 2 and 3 are a little excessive, I think, for a hexagon shelf. You're not going to be getting these things wet. They're just hanging up on a wall. So Type On 1 should do just fine. Okay. And then you want to make sure you have some tape on standby. So I just like to rip off, a piece about yay big, put it on the side of my workbench. And then you can just roll it up now, but I like to spread the glue in just to make sure everything is evenly spread out, okay? So you want to make sure you get glue all the way across that joint, because again, this is the only thing that's holding it together. So if you don't get a good spread of glue, it could potentially fall apart once you start putting weight on it and you have it mounted on the wall. Okay, so there are going to be 6 joints. As you can see, I've already glued up 5. The last one is the end. Don't forget about the end. So I just like to roll it up, put some on the end there, make sure it's spread in there really good. And now we just roll it up like this, and then you can see you're just going to pull it nice and tight until that gap goes away. And as you're doing it, you're gonna get a lot of glue squeeze out. I'm sure you're seeing it all over this thing. That's good, that means we got glue in there. We want glue squeeze out. If you don't have any, then you probably didn't put enough glue. So we're gonna put our tape on there, and then I'm just gonna pull real tight and make sure my joint is secure, okay? And then all of this excess glue, you need to wipe it out while you can. Cool, so that one's done. I like to look at them and make sure. That looks a little wonky, so we're gonna push it back to right there. Cool, that's one. Let's do the rest. Cool, we're done with that. So now that we have all three glued up, we need to wait. Type bond says wait 30 minutes under clamping pressure. Since this is with tape and it's not a super strong clamp, I would say leave it on as long as you can. I think 24 hours is a little unnecessary for this, but I definitely do at least like 2 or 3 hours just to make sure it's a solid hold. When you go to stain it and do some final sanding on it and stuff, you want to make sure that you got a good grip on it. So, see you in 2 or 3 hours. Now, your first cut is just to establish your angle, okay? So you need to